Keyshawn Vaughn down the sideline. Nice move, twisting Hartsfield around and into the end zone for the touchdown.
Wilson, boy, somehow escapes. He's going to run for it. Plenty of green grass. Wilson stays in bounds. He's still going, and he's in. Touchdown.
On the fly, Boyd, foot race. That is 6. Leaping into the end zone, 68-yard strike.
Berrios shot out of a cannon. It's a foot race to the 20. Berrios is in. 103 yards for the Jets.
Mills, he's looking deep down the field again. He's got a man and a touchdown. Chris Conley pointing out blockers. There goes Brandon Powell. Punter to beat into the end zone. Touchdown.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Lucky Shots podcast. It's the Gameday podcast, and we've got Jacob MONTESANO back today with us. How you doing today, Jacob?
I'm doing pretty good. It's nice to have the day off, and being in Rapid City, it's nice to see some light snow on the ground. Seems like it's been the trend the last couple mornings. Yeah,
getting a little bit of weather here finally. I'm sure you enjoy that, being a meteorologist and things like that.
I do enjoy the snow, yes.
But we're getting pretty close to the end. Only 2 weeks left of the regular season. AFC is still completely wide open. The NFC, we know 5 of the 7 teams for sure that will be in the playoffs, but those last 2 spots still pretty open. And, you know, there's teams right on the outside that could make moves here at the end of the year. But everybody's got tough games. It seems like almost everybody who is in the hunt or in the playoffs has somebody within that group that they're going to be playing this week. So, real quick, we're going to go ahead and look at the AFC playoff picture. You've got the Chiefs in that 1 seed. They are the only team locked up this for the AFC. They clinched their division, sitting at that 1 seed. They won, 8 in a row now. So they're looking pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you never. I always am a big fan of parity, so it's not, you know, a fun pick. But, you know, they're the best team right now. I do believe come playoff time, we may see some other teams, you know, jump up to that to potentially beat them. But right now, you know, it's hard to say they're not going to be the 1 seed.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, theoretically, I think they've got 2 games that they can win to finish out the year, winning 10 straight. Do I trust any sort of long winning streak going into the playoffs? Not really. I feel like most of the time those teams either burn out or they eventually have a bad game and things change. But
I will say the game of the week though, is the Chiefs at the Bengals this upcoming week. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, because you got Tennessee, they're sitting at 10-5, and then you got the Bengals sitting right there at the 3rd seed at 9-6. Buffalo finally got back up into the top 4 again after last week. They beat the Patriots. Pretty good game there. Wasn't as much weather, which played a huge factor in that first game. And the Bills were actually run some of their offense. Patriots, you know, they didn't go down easy. They had Damian Harris score 3 touchdowns. They did their best. So, I mean, you can't really fault them. They're sitting at the 6th seed. At 9-6, Colts right above them at 9-6, and then you got the Dolphins. They've won now 7 in a row. They're sitting at 8-7, but their matchup this week, they got to go against Tennessee, who's that 2 seed. It's going to be kind of an uphill climb for them to stay in this spot, I think.
Yeah, my guess is that if you get to 10 wins, I think you're going to make the playoffs in the AFC. And here's the main reason why. So we have 4 teams that are, I believe it's 8-7. Yeah, that's 8-7 right now. It's the Dolphins, the Chargers, the Raiders, and I'm missing one more. The
Ravens.
The Ravens, yeah. And if you look at the schedules, the Ravens have 2 tough matchups coming up. They have at home against the Rams. That's going to be a really tough matchup. And they have at home against the Steelers. Maybe not as tough, but they're probably not going to have Lamar Jackson. So my guess is they're going to lose at least one of those games. The Dolphins have the Titans, and then they have, I'm looking at this guy, they have the Patriots. So those are two tough matchups. My guess is they're probably going to lose one of those games. And if that's the case, the Raiders and Chargers play each other. So one team has to lose that game. And if that's the case, if you get to 10 wins, you'll probably make the playoffs. And that's why it'd be hard for me to see the Colts and the Patriots not make the playoffs, because the Colts play the Jaguars next week and the Patriots play the Jaguars this week. So, it'd be hard for me to see. And both those teams, the Colts, I think are the scariest underdog team in the entire NFL this year.
For sure. I was talking with my uncle this past week. Carson Wentz, honestly, is not playing bad. He isn't doing anything fantastic, but it's probably one of his best seasons since, that first year with the Eagles.
It's Frank Wright. That's what it is, honestly.
That, and if you look at the running game that they have to help him out, that takes a lot of the load off when you have a running back who can go out and, run for 150 yards a game. That makes a big difference. And if you look at the Colts, they're only one game behind the Titans. So there's a possibility they could even jump up into the top four. It's going to be kind of a tough road. They would probably need the Titans to lose maybe twice.
No, yeah, they would need the Titans to lose twice, because the Titans have a tiebreaker over them. At least I know that they've won both games against the Titans, but I honestly wouldn't be 100% surprised if the Titans lose twice. And they do play the Texans the next week, but the Texans aren't as bad as the Jaguars, in my opinion. So,
and I saw something funny the other day. One of our other meteorologists showed me, David. He said it was.
You showed me this too. I know what you're about to say.
Yeah, all the teams that had beaten the Chiefs when the Chiefs were down. I believe it was by the time week 9 had hit. All of those teams had lost.
It was the Titans, Bills. It was the Titans, Bills, and the Ravens. They all lost a bad game, yeah.
And he made this video in week 9, and he's like, the Chargers are going to lose to the Texans. And it happened. Maybe you don't want to beat the Chiefs, because it just hasn't turned out to be all that great for you afterwards. But that's what the AFC picture looks like. We'll take one last look at it. You got teams in the hunt like the Chargers, Raiders, Ravens, Steelers, Broncos, Browns. Broncos and Browns probably not going to make it, but, crazy things could happen. They could find themselves somehow up there. But, again, they would have to win out. And, teams like the Dolphins would have to lose out. And, they need a lot to happen, but it's not impossible. So they're still sitting there. Now let's turn to the NFC.
Wait, I want to mention one more thing about the AFC. I don't know if they can they see like my playoff picture or not yet?
Yeah, we're going to do that.
Well, my picks were basically kind of who I want to make it a little bit, because if someone like the Steelers make it, it's gonna be really boring. Especially if I think the Dolphins would be a fun team to see in the playoffs. I wouldn't really want to see the Ravens in the playoffs. I feel like that. If Lamar Jackson's playing, it wouldn't be as boring. But they're a team that just kind of feels like, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but they kind of feel like a phony, I guess. The game they would play would probably be close, because they seem to play close against every opponent, whether it's the Lions or if it's the Packers. So, they might be an interesting team in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. So looking at the NFC, this is a bit of a different conference. You got the Packers sitting at the 1 seed at 12-3. They clinched their division. The Cowboys are at 11-4 in the 2 seed. They clinched their division. The Rams are sitting in 3rd at 11-4. They've clinched a playoff berth. They haven't clinched the division yet because of the Cardinals. And then you have the Buccaneers at 11-4 sitting in the 4 spot. They clinched their division. And like I said, the Cardinals, they're sitting at 10-5 in the 5 spot. They've also clinched a berth, but the NFC West, I believe they are, that's still a division that's up for grabs between those 2 teams. So 5 teams have already punched their ticket. And now you've got the Niners and the Eagles sitting there in those last 2 wild card spots that possibly they could be there. But again, you have the Vikings, the Falcons, the Saints, Washington all underneath them. Things could happen. A lot of teams playing within this group. So it's going to make for some interesting football these next couple of weeks to see who gets those last two spots.
Yeah, and as I'm looking at the schedule, all those teams that are in the last two spots, I wouldn't be surprised if they all go 1-1. I mean, my pick was the 49ers and Eagles, because I think both of them are going to win this week, unless Washington really turns it around. But I mean, Washington doesn't really have anything to play for. I mean, are they still technically in it?
Yeah, they're still technically in it. They're 6-9, so they would need literally everyone else above them to lose out.
They need the 49ers to lose both games. They need the Eagles to lose both games. They need the Falcons and the Saints and the Vikings to lose one game at least. So, yeah. I mean, that'd be the most insane scenario. But the 49ers are at home against the Texans. My guess is they're going to win that game. The Eagles are on the road against Washington. The Eagles have looked really solid. My guess is they're going to win that game. And if they're both 9-7, the Falcons play at the Bills. That's a tough one. And the Saints I don't trust. I think the Saints are the weakest team that's still in the hunt. I would take the Washington over the Saints. The Saints are just disguised by their wins against the Buccaneers. For some reason, they just destroy the Buccaneers every time. I just don't think they're that good of a team. And it stems from their quarterback situation. They're just rough right now at quarterback. So my guess, it'd be crazy if the Falcons made it in, but I don't see them being the Bills and Buffalo. The Bills have a lot of momentum right now. And, the Falcons, I haven't really paid attention to the Falcons at all this year, but they just, at the beginning of the year, they seemed one of the bottom feeders, and all of a sudden they're in the playoff picture. So it's kind of crazy how this season has gone, but we'll see what happens. But I think if the Eagles and 49ers win this week, I think they're going to both be in the playoffs.
Yeah. And to me, the most interesting matchup this week would be the Cowboys versus the Cardinals. It's a game that either team could win. Arizona, they're kind of in a slump right now. But honestly, I don't see the Cowboys as that great of a team. They have all the talent to do it. It's just they play in a very weak conference, so they pretty much get 6 bye weeks just to get a win. So it's kind of tough to see them in that number 2 spot and be like, oh yeah, I can be confident that they're there. One team that I wouldn't mind seeing in the playoffs is the Vikings, because they play every game super close, whether they win or lose. And it has held true, except for 1 week against the Seahawks, that every game they've played in, win or lose, has been decided by 1 score. So, they're just always in the game, and there's always that chance that they could come out on top. So I wouldn't mind seeing them, overtake maybe the Eagles or the Niners. Hopefully not the Niners. I like watching Debo play. So I would much rather see the Eagles drop out. But
I will say, whoever does make the playoffs in these last 2 seeds, I'd be surprised if they win the game that they play, because I feel like it's a top-heavy conference. And honestly, it's starting to turn into a top 4, because the Cardinals are really, struggling now. They're just and this kind of happened last year. You can say it was to Kyler Murray's injury, but I think maybe this might be a trend. Right. Who knows? Because they were in the playoff picture last year in a good spot, and then they started losing a bunch of games. We'll see if this is a trend going forward, but obviously I don't know how I feel about the Cardinals in the playoffs.
Yeah, if people are Cardinals fans, they could say, oh, well, we don't have D-Hop right now, so that's hurting us. We don't have one of our playmakers. But look at when D-Hop has been in. He hasn't been the game changer he was last year, and they've gotten plenty of good play from other guys on that team. Christian Kirk, in his absence, has been doing phenomenal, honestly.
Honestly, almost every team except for probably at this point, probably the Cowboys have been really bad with injuries, or COVID. With COVID and injuries. Like I said, I don't know anyone on the Cowboys that's a big name on the Cowboys, but every other team, you look at the Packers, they're losing. They haven't had David Bakhtiari. They haven't had Jair Alexander. Obviously, the Buccaneers are losing basically a lot of wide receivers. They lost Chris Godwin. They lost Leonard Fournette also. And, the Rams lost Robert Woods. So it seems like especially in the NFC, every team is kind of having this struggle right now.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, it's going to be an interesting last 2 weeks, and I think it'll make a pretty interesting playoff coming up in just 3 weeks. So, Jacob, go ahead and give us your seeding that you believe will be at the end of the year for both conferences.
So I'm actually gonna change it up just a little bit. I realized that the Titans would have the tiebreaker over the Bills if they had the same record, right?
I believe so, yeah, because they beat.
So yeah, so I'm gonna have to put the Titans as a 2 seed, even though it's not a fun 2 seed, but I believe they're gonna end up as the same record. So the Chiefs will be the 1 seed, the Titans the 2 seed, the Bills the 3 seed. I think basically the Bengals just need to win one game if the Ravens lose both games to get the division, correct? And if that's the case, I'm going with the Bengals for sure because, week 17, I know they play the Browns, but I feel like they're going to be. I wouldn't be surprised to beat the Chiefs this week because I feel like they're a team that's in a really good stride right now. So I'm gonna go with the Bengals as the 4 seed, mostly because I kind of want to. That'd be a fun. All the other teams have had their chances the last couple of years. The Bengals are this upcoming team. I like to see them in the playoffs. But 5 seed, I'm going with the Colts. 6 Patriots, and 7, I'm gonna end up going with the Chargers. But I really want to go with the Dolphins, man. They're doing really good right now. I might end up changing my pick to the Dolphins, but yeah, I mean,
and I think for me, the Dolphins, there are a lot of smoke and mirrors. I mean, if you look at the combined record of their last 7 wins, it hasn't been all that great of opponents. But, nonetheless, stringing together 7 wins isn't easy, regardless of who you're playing. But you can, for instance, look at the Broncos at the beginning of the year. They went 3-0. They played absolute dog shit teams, and now look where they're at. They're, not sitting pretty like you would think. So, I don't see the Dolphins making it in over a team like the Chargers, who are actually, they're contenders.
I'll probably just stick with the Chargers because right now they have COVID problems, but like that's a 1 week thing usually.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for my AFC, I've got Kansas City in that 1 seed as well. I've got Tennessee in the 2 seed. I've got Buffalo in the 3, Cincinnati in the 4, Indy in the 5, New England in the 6, and the Chargers in 7. So,
so we got this. We got the 7. We got the same
one now. So I just see that Tennessee. Honestly, I think they're the dark horse going into the playoffs. There's a high probability that they get Derrick Henry back when the playoffs.
That's honestly all it matters to me because,
AJ Brown is starting to play absolutely terrific. 16 targets. Yeah, just keep throwing him the football, and then you have Derrick Henry in the backfield. Hand him the ball. I mean, it's going to be a great 1-2 punch, and I honestly think it's going to take them quite a ways. Their defense honestly isn't terrible, so. I think they're gonna be a dark horse going through the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it really does depend on Derrick Henry. Last week was impressive though because they played that was the Cardinals matchup, right? They played the Cardinals last week. Yeah, even though that the Cardinals are struggling, they play the 49ers. I apologize. The 49ers aren't struggling, so that's even more impressive. They came out and, the Titans were a team that was starting to fall off, but they had such good momentum with Henry there that they had a good amount of wins. So, I don't know. I really want to believe in them, but if they don't have Derrick Henry, it's hard. They don't really have that pop that I think you need.
Yeah, and I mean, they've just had quite a few problems. AJ Brown was out for a little bit. They've been just a mess of a running back room now because when you have Derrick Henry, you don't really need to think about anybody underneath him. So they had to figure all that situation out. They're fighters, man. And even if, say, they don't get Derrick Henry in that first matchup and he doesn't come in until the second matchup and they're still in it, I see the Tennessee Titans kind of just being that, they're in the 2 seed, but they're probably going to fall off. I don't see that. So.
Like I said, for me, it'll just depend on if Derrick Henry's there, and even if he is there, I don't know if he'll be, the same Derrick Henry at least right away because he's been out for a couple of weeks. So we'll see what happens. We'll get to the actual picks in a second.
Yeah. So go ahead and give us your NFC then.
All right, so NFC, I'm gonna go the 1 seed, the Packers, 2 seed, the Cowboys, 3 seed, the Buccaneers. That's what it is right now if they all have the same record, correct? Because I think they're gonna have similar records. And then I'm gonna go the Rams 4 seed, Cardinals 5, 49ers 6, Eagles 7. Is that how it would go as well if they had the same record? I didn't. So yeah, that's my prediction. And give me yours.
So I've got Green Bay in the 1 seed. I think the Rams, I think they win out, get up into that 2 seed. I think Dallas has a possibility of losing a game, as do the Buccaneers. So I think Dallas will be in the 3, Bucks will be in the 4. Then I've got Arizona, San Francisco, and Philly filling out those wild card spots. Again, I don't see Dallas in a great light. Tampa Bay, without a lot of their weapons, how is Tom going to work around that? Because let's be honest, it's Tom Brady. He finds ways to win. He's taken teams with nobodies to Super Bowls. So if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be him. But it
was with Bill Belichick, though, with those nobody teams.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be tough for him, I think. But they're still going to win their division. They've got it clinched. And they probably, can win a game or maybe 2 going into the playoffs. So,
the thing with the Buccaneers is I don't know if they have, the same defense they did last year as well. But, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they win the Super Bowl. Are we going to the predictions right now?
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and put yours up on the screen. Go ahead and walk us through what you think is going to happen here going into the playoffs.
Well, like I said, the one change I'm making is I have the Titans as the 2 seed, because I realized that if the Bills and Titans are the same record, the Titans would get the pick, the seed over them. So I have the Titans playing the Bills playing the Patriots and the Titans playing the Chargers. But I'm gonna go with the Bills beating the Patriots. I'm gonna go with the Chargers right now. If Derrick Henry plays, it might change. And I'm confidently going to pick the Colts, even though I am a fan of the Bengals and I want to see them in the playoffs.
Right. So let's see. And then just go ahead and walk us all the way through all of it.
So then I'm going to have the Chiefs being the Colts. I'm going to be rooting for the Colts that game. Nothing against the Chiefs. It's just, they've already won the Super Bowl the last couple of years. I'm a fan of parity, and I'm gonna go with the Bills. I'm a big fan of Josh Allen, and I really feel like they're peaking at the right time. I really, I think they have a solid unit everywhere, and I'm gonna go with the Bills being the Chiefs right now. We'll see what happens, but I'm just being a little biased. I'm a big Josh Allen fan, so. It would be an AFC rematch from last year. That'd be a good game.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yep, and go ahead and go to your NFC side as well.
All right, so the Packers is the 1 seed. Look at the bye. The Cowboys are the 2 seed playing the Eagles. Yeah, I'm going to easily pick the Cowboys there. The Buccaneers, I'm just going to pick the higher seeds in the first round of the Cowboys, Buccaneers, Rams. I'm gonna go with the Packers over the Rams. I'll be rooting for the Rams in that game, but I don't really see, I don't see the dominance that I thought I'd see from the Rams this year. They're winning games, but they're not being as they're not being as dominant as I thought they would be in some other games. And then I'm gonna go with the Cowboys just because I think the Cowboys have a lot of emotion right now, and I feel like they're really pumped, they really believe that they can win the Super Bowl. And I know it's hard to bet against Tom Brady, but right now I really have a good confidence in the Cowboys because I really feel like they got a lot going for them right now. They're really healthy. Like I said, they got a lot of momentum and they got a lot of emotion and motivation to do well. And that's a really good recipe to have. And then I'm going to go with the Cowboys again over the Packers because it's hard for me to find that in the Packers because there's all this, drama with Aaron Rodgers where I think it's kind of stupid. But the fact that nonetheless there is drama, so it's hard, I just don't see the Packers having that same motivation and emotion that the Cowboys have right now. So I'm gonna go Bills versus Cowboys in the Super Bowl, and I'm gonna go with the Bills right now. Again, I'm being a little bit of a biased pick. I also don't really want to I'm also kind of picking who I want to see in the Super Bowl a little bit.
Right.
Honestly, I don't really see many teams other than the Chiefs and the Bills making it to the Super Bowl. And the NFC, I don't see the Rams making it. And then I would rather see the Cowboys over the Buccaneers and Packers. So I'm picking a little bit of what I want to see rather than what I mean, I think it's possible. I feel good about my picks. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
What about you?
So in mine, I've got Kansas City in that 1 seed, so they'll have a bye. Then you'll have Tennessee versus the Chargers, Buffalo versus New England, Cincy versus Cincinnati. I think I think the Titans are going to take over the Chargers. The Bills are going to beat the Patriots, and I think the Colts. Yeah, I think they got that win over Cincinnati pretty locked up. And then Kansas City against Indy. I'd have to go with Kansas City there. They're on that roll. I know Indy's playing a lot better than they did last year. Things are starting to click for them, but I think the Chiefs are too hot hold on, they're playing New England. Sorry. So Chiefs over New England. Either way, I think the Chiefs go in, they take out the Patriots. Patriots, I'm not too high on them. I mean, they've got really good running offense, a pretty good defense, but I just don't think they've got the firepower to keep up with the Chiefs.
Mac Jones has not been as good as everyone's saying he is. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of a game manager, but he's not going out and
he'll win if he wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. It'll be kind of stupid because Jamar Chase I think deserves it way more. Because like I said, I really personally believe Mac Jones is only winning Offensive Rookie of the Year because they're winning games, but they're almost winning despite of him almost, because if you watch the games, I think I've seen maybe one deep play downfield that he's made. Everything is like 2 yards, 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage and the player's running. So that's just my opinion. You can continue with your picks. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. So then you have Buffalo versus Tennessee. Again, I'm pretty high on Tennessee. I think that they're going to take Buffalo out. The Bills in games that really mean.
I thought you said the Colts were making it. You said the Chiefs versus Patriots.
Oh, no, because Buffalo beat New England. So, yeah, I was right. I was looking – why am I looking at yours? Yeah, so against Indy. Either way, Chiefs are winning.
I said I had to change – and I get it. I changed mine because I realized the Titans would be the 2 seed in that situation. So I had the Bills being the Patriots, but yeah.
Yep, so Kansas City over Indy. And then Buffalo against Tennessee. Buffalo in games that really mean something normally this season have kind of choked. So Tennessee's already got a win over them. If they got Derrick Henry back, I think they got him. And then Kansas City versus Tennessee. This is one where I'm going to have to go with an upset. I think Tennessee's got a better defense. They can control the ball on offense. So if they can, contain Mahomes, they can contain that offense. I think they'll get the win there. So I think the Tennessee Titans are going to be going to the Super Bowl for the AFC. And then on the other side, you got Green Bay in the 1 seed, the Rams against Philly, Dallas against San Francisco, and Tampa Bay against Arizona. I think that Arizona, I think they're going to beat Tampa Bay. Let's get it right. A weak Tampa Bay team going into the playoffs. I think they'll get that win there. The Rams against Philly, I'm going to take the Rams. They're just a better team overall. And then Dallas against San Fran. I think Dallas has that. I'm not a huge fan of what's going on with the quarterback situation for San Francisco. Garoppolo isn't good. I don't care if he has a shoulder injury. He hasn't been good even before that. He's just got a lot of weapons around him, and Shanahan knows how to work around having a shitty quarterback. So I'm assuming it'll probably be Lance, and I don't see a rookie making a playoff run who hasn't really played all season.
Well, we'll have to respectfully disagree with the Shanahan knows how to get down the crappy quarterback, because he's been pretty terrible without Garoppolo. But that's a different conversation.
So then So that sets up Green Bay against Arizona, Dallas against the Rams. We're going to take Green Bay over Arizona. Arizona lost to Green Bay. That was their first loss this year. In a game that they honestly shouldn't have lost. AJ Green's just an idiot. But the Packers, they're on their own roll. The Cardinals, sure, that'll be a big win against Tampa Bay, but they're still kind of floundering. So I think Green Bay takes it. And then Dallas against the Rams. I think the Rams overall, offensively, defensively, are a better team than the Cowboys. The Cowboys defensively, yeah, they create a lot of turnovers, but I think they're going to putter out, and the Rams are going to take them in that game. So then that sets up Green Bay against the Rams in the NFC Championship. I think Rodgers finally gets it done. Green Bay is one of the most consistent teams this year. Nothing flashy, but they go out and they score however many points they need to win the game. So that sets up Tennessee and Green Bay in the Super Bowl. And I think Rodgers, on his way out the door of Green Bay, gets a victory and takes a Super Bowl ring with him.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Packers make it. Like I said, the one reason I'm really not picking them is I can't know for sure what's going on in the behind the camera, behind closed doors, but it's hard for me to find, a team it's hard for me to find them to be super motivated just with everything, going on. The fact that Aaron Rodgers probably won't stay, but who knows? They may end up coming through.
And I mean, when they get to the NFC Championship, there is that motivation of everybody's going to be talking, saying, "Oh, it's Green Bay in the NFC Championship, easy win for whoever's against them because they can't ever get the job done." So there will be that motivation of, "Fuck you guys, we're finally getting in. We're gonna win that game, and we're gonna go win the Super Bowl." So I think, sure, the motivation may not be there for the first couple of weeks, but if they get to that NFC Championship, they will have a little bit of motivation to just shut people up, be like,
that's a good point.
We are a good team. So that's the way I see it rolling out. That's the way you see it roll out. One final little tidbit to look at. An interesting thing, the 2022 projected draft order as of right now, the Lions kind of fucked themselves over by winning against the Cardinals a couple weeks ago. But you and I have talked, there's not a whole lot of quarterback fixed weapons coming out of the draft. A lot of defensive players, maybe a few offensive players, but Jacksonville will get that first pick sitting at 2 and 13. If you're Jacksonville, you're floundering right now. What are you looking for with that first pick? I mean,
the best player. Yeah, that's what you're looking for. They're not going to take a quarterback, obviously. In fact, the amount of teams that will take a quarterback, the only team, I would say the Saints, Washington, and the Texans, and if I'm missing an obvious one, that list might end there because I don't think the Browns will be looking for one. I don't.
Honestly, I could see if the Broncos don't somehow close the deal on Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, somebody like that, they may be desperately grabbing at some quarterback in the draft.
The Steelers will be looking at someone too, and yeah, the Broncos, that's a good one. But the Jaguars, just take the best player. I don't really pay too much attention to the top recruits, except for maybe the top quarterbacks. But yeah, take the best player. I couldn't tell you who it is. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah, it's looking like Kayvon Thibodeau. He's a defensive end or outside linebacker type for Oregon. But then you rounding out that order, you got Detroit at 2, 12, and 1. You've got a 3-way tie record-wise at 4 and 11. Houston at the 3 spot, the Giants at the 4, and then the Jets at the 5. And then the next 3 teams sitting at 5 and 10: Seattle, your Bears, and Carolina.
Giants, though.
Giants are at 4. Yep.
The Giants have the Bears pick.
So yeah, the Giants.
And I know the Eagles have a couple first rounders, and the Jets have the Seahawks pick.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I
think the Eagles have the Colts pick maybe because for the Carson Wentz thing, I'm not 100% sure, but I know the Eagles have 3 first round picks, and they're already going to potentially make the playoffs, so they might be really good next year.
Yeah, there is that chance, but it'll be an interesting draft to look at, 5 years from now and be like, okay, we didn't really have a whole lot of big names that, it was a blockbuster draft, to see who kind of comes out of that and is a good player, if any, because I know that there's been some drafts where you're like, who the hell came out of that draft right there? Like, you look at the best player and he, maybe played 2 seasons and did okay. So could be one of those drafts, but could be quite a few gems coming out of there.
Okay. So, all right. So I looked it up. So the Giants have the Bears first pick. The Jets have the Seahawks first pick. The Eagles have the Dolphins first pick. Actually, the Dolphins have that pick from someone else, and then the Eagles have that pick. I'm confused because the Dolphins have their own pick. No, the Dolphins have the 49ers first pick, and the Eagles have the Colts first pick. So there you go. So the Eagles have the Dolphins and the Colts, but the Dolphins do have a pick from the 49ers. But the Jets have the Seahawks and the Giants have the Bears, which those two are going to really help those two teams out.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not somebody who has to keep track of all of this when draft day.
Right.
Draft pick trading is absolutely insane. We at least know one team we won't see in the first round, and that's the Rams. They give away all their first round picks to just get actual players. So
wait, who has the Rams first pick this year? Oh, the Lions do.
Well, so the Lions get a couple of first rounders. Jets get a couple first rounders, Giants. So a lot of teams that need help that will have a little bit of first round talent coming in. So we'll see.
Also,
if that does
I do have to laugh at the fact that, I mean, obviously this may not mean anything, but Gardner Minshew's numbers in Jacksonville way better than Trevor Lawrence's. That's all I'm saying. It's hard to compare. That's an easy comparison. They're the same. They play for the same team. Just saying.
I'm a fan of Minshew mania. It's just fun to watch. He's not,
honestly
quarterback, but it's fun to watch.
I think the Saints, maybe even a team that doesn't have a high pick that's probably not going to go for quarterback. They should consider talking with the Eagles about Minshew. Because, like I said, it's hard to compare, it's hard to compare, Patrick Mahomes' numbers to someone who's because he was on the Chiefs, to someone with a bad team, but that's a fair comparison. Like, you can't even make an argument against that one. So we'll see how Trevor Lawrence turns it around. But I will say when everyone was saying, oh, Trevor Lawrence once in a lifetime talent, and then all of a sudden, oh, Patrick Mahomes is like a once in a lifetime talent. Josh Allen is Justin Herbert is looking like one. Joe Burrow is like, well, how many once in a lifetime talents do we have in the NFL? So it's hard to say for sure. It's hard to, like I said, I have no idea who the best rookie quarterback from that draft is going to be. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean,
my guess is it won't be Mac Jones. That's all I'm going to say, and he's been the best so far.
Lawrence straight up could be one of those high quarterback picks, like say Brady Quinn or Colt McCoy, who had a lot of hype coming out of college, and now where are they? Colt McCoy, I think, played a game or two this season, but it's going to be interesting to see, how all of this shakes out. Like I said, in 5 years, maybe, none of these quarterbacks actually ever amount to anything. And we just sit here twiddling our thumbs like, oh, okay. I'm glad we all got hyped about nothing. But that's it.
Bears hopefully can get a good offensive coordinator, because I'm refusing to watch when Nagy's the coach now, because he's starting to turn into kind of a little a-hole, but that's another conversation.
Fields isn't actually even that good, but that's a conversation for another time. So that is it for today. Don't forget to join tomorrow. Dylan Corbett will be on the show. We'll talk, all the betting lines, see where people sit. And then don't forget to give Jacob a follow on Facebook at meteorologist Jacob MONTESANO. But that's it for today. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds great. Thank you.